In the glittering world of Hollywood, Dean Martin was the king of cool. He was the epitome of effortless charm, the man with a twinkle in his eye and a glass of whiskey seemingly glued to his hand. He laughed, he sang, he joked his way into the hearts of millions. But on a cold, somber day in March 1987, the laughter died. The world watched as the king of cool was brought to his knees by a grief so profound it shattered his carefully crafted persona forever. This is the story of the day Dean Martin buried his son, and in doing so, buried a part of himself. Dean Paul Martin, affectionately known as Dino, was more than just the son of a legend. He was a star in his own right. A talented musician, a promising actor, and a skilled pilot, Dino seemed to have inherited all his father's charisma and talent. He was a golden boy, a handsome face who had once been a teen idol with the band Dino, Daisy, and Billy. He tasted success in film and television, and even found love and marriage with actress Olivia Hussey. But his true passion was flying. After his acting career, he joined the California Air National Guard, becoming a captain and a respected pilot. Flying was his freedom, his escape, his calling. On March 21, 1987, Captain Dean Paul Martin was co-piloting an F-4 Phantom jet on a routine training mission. It was a snowy day, and somewhere over California's San Bernardino Mountains. In the midst of a fierce storm, his jet disappeared from radar. For 3 agonizing days, a massive search operation was underway. Dean Martin, along with his ex-wife and Dino's mother, Jean, waited, clinging to a desperate sliver of hope, but the call they dreaded finally came. The wreckage had been found. Dino and his co-pilot had perished instantly when their jet crashed into the side of a mountain. He was only 35 years old. The news ripped through Hollywood like a shockwave. Friends and family were devastated. But no one's world was more completely shattered than Dean Martin's. For years, Dean had cultivated an image of detachment. He was the guy who could shrug off anything, who never let the world see him sweat. Publicly, he was always on, always ready with a witty comeback. But privately, his love for his children was the one thing that was unequivocally real and deep. Dino wasn't just his son. He was his Dino boy, the heir to his charm, the apple of his eye. The funeral was held at a military cemetery in Los Angeles. The day was as gray and heavy as the hearts of those who gathered. Hollywood royalty and military personnel stood side by side, a sea of black against the stark white headstones. Frank Sinatra was there, a man who was more like a brother to Dean than a friend. Sammy Davis Jr., another lifelong pal, was also in attendance, his own face a mask of sorrow. But all eyes were on Dean Martin. Witnesses from that day describe a man they hardly recognized. The familiar swagger was gone. The easy smile was replaced by a grim, hollowed-out expression. He looked frail, aged years in just a few days. As the military ceremony began, with the sharp salutes and the playing of taps, Dean stood stoically. But it was a fragile stoicism. His friend Frank Sinatra, ever the protector, stood so close to Dean that their shoulders were touching, physically trying to hold his friend up, to share the impossible weight of the moment. One of the most heart-wrenching accounts came from Shirley MacLaine. She recalled looking at Dean and seeing a man completely disconnected from the world, lost in a private hell of grief. He was there, but he wasn't. The jokes, the laughter, the very essence of Dean Martin had evaporated. He was just a father, a broken father, standing at the grave of his beloved son. After the funeral, something inside Dean Martin broke for good. He was never the same. He had always been a private man, but after Dino's death, he retreated into an almost total seclusion. He lost interest in performing. The light in his eyes, the one that had captivated audiences for decades, simply went out. He would often call Frank Sinatra late at night, not to talk, but just to listen to his friend's voice on the answering machine. A desperate attempt to feel less alone in his crushing sorrow. His friends tried to pull him out of his despair. Sinatra, in a grand gesture of friendship, organized a reunion tour for the Rat Pack, hoping to reignite the old spark. But the magic was gone. During one of the early shows, Dean was on stage, going through the motions. He looked out at the audience, and in the middle of a song, he suddenly stopped. He turned to Sinatra and said, "Frank, I can't do this anymore." He missed his boy too much. He walked off the stage and never returned to a major tour again. People who knew him said he spent his final years in a state of perpetual mourning. He would sit for hours in his favorite restaurant, alone at his regular table, just staring into space. He'd watch old movies, especially westerns that he and Dino had loved, sometimes crying silently. The king of cool, had become a recluse, haunted by the ghost of his son. He rarely spoke of Dino, the pain was too raw, too immense to put into words. His daughter, Diana, said that her father died the day Dino died. The man who lived for another 8 years was just a shell. When Dean Martin passed away on Christmas morning in 1995, many felt it wasn't the liver cancer that took him, but a broken heart. He was buried right next to his son, Dino Paul Martin. The man who brought so much laughter and joy to the world had spent his final years consumed by a singular, inconsolable sadness. It's a powerful reminder that behind the brightest smiles and the most charming facades, there can be a depth of pain we can never truly comprehend. The story of Dean Martin's final years is not one of a celebrity's decline, but a universal story of a parent's worst nightmare. It shows us that no amount of fame, fortune, or coolness can shield you from the devastating power of loss. The King of Cool was, in the end, a father who loved his son more than anything in the world. And that is the legacy that truly matters. Thank you for watching. If you found this story moving, please like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into the lives of legendary figures. We'll see you in the next video.